price cooler backpack, I have 6 of America's top-selling light beers. And speaking of America, happy birthday to you! Introducing Coors Light. Miller. Bud Light. Busch. Michelob Ultra. And the only imported beer on the list, Corona. Now, I'm a Coors Banquet kind of guy, but as I get older, I realize I can't be pounding Yellow Jackets like I used to, folks. Or else I'll be feeling so gosh dang bloated it's like Rosie O'Donnell at the country buffet. Okay? Today, I want to find my favorite light beer of all time. I want to be like one of those old guys that just walks into a liquor store and beelines it directly to what he knows and loves. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where's the White Claw? See this? This is a Camp Chef. Got it for less than $100 at Cabela's a couple years ago. Use it on hunting trips, camping trips, whatever. And it's a freaking griddle. Just hook a propane tank up to it, or I gotta clean that thing, but you can flip-flop these around. Got 2 big old 12-inch burners. This thing gets hot, son. And it ain't freaking $800 like a Blackstone or, you know, one of them Traeger griddles. Time to clean this puppy up, because we about to make some smash burgers for these folks. And speaking of smashing, dude, I need to smash a bread. Light beer is an American style beer, right? It was created by these beer companies to be less bloating, less filling, and, you know, less calories, to be more healthy, because, you know, America started getting a lot more health conscious, which that's what they say. I don't know where the hell they're getting that. And just because your light beer is less calories doesn't mean that you're gonna drink less of it. Honestly, you're probably gonna drink more than you drink the regular beer, to which will pretty much equate to the same amount of calories, if not more, because it's easier to drink. So, in all honesty, I mean, it's a pretty genius move by the beer companies. Now, I say we start with the very first light beer that was ever introduced to America. And that just happens to be Coors Light, folks. The silver bullet. Oh, I even forgot. Are the mountains blue? Man, I was looking for the mountains, but they have just like these special music ones going on right now. The music edition. Ooh. Dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee. Ooh. You know, I live in Colorado, right? We're in Colorado right now. So the brand of Coors is what we like to call our Colorado Kool-Aid. What I've always called Coors Light is more like Rocky Mountain Piss. Never been a big fan of it, but kind of the last time I was really drinking it often was probably like high school, to be honest with you. So I haven't even, honestly, a lot of these beers I haven't even tried in 10 plus years. Light beers are basically just watered down versions of the original and with less alcohol because they are watered down. I kind of get that with this. Like I do kind of get like a slight bit of the maltiness and stuff that I get in like a Coors Banquet, but I don't know. It's definitely kind of its own thing. Not a super big light beer guy, but honestly, it's pretty refreshing. Coors Light with the 102 calories and 4.2% ABV. Do you guys know what time it is? That's right. It's Miller time. Always got to get some of that frothiness. But tell my wife. Now, Miller was actually the very first light beer company that was actually watching its calories. If you ever remember some of them old commercials, they're classic. It tastes great, but less filling. Now, I don't know why, but I think I've only had a Miller Lite like once. And already after the first sip, I can tell, I don't know if this is the rightest word, the best word to describe it, but it's a little bit darker. I taste a little bit more of the malt, the grain in the Miller Lite than I do the Coors. But the Coors was pretty gosh dang refreshing, I'll tell you that. I feel like Miller does a really good job of making it not taste like a light beer. Do I like the taste? It's not bad. I gotta try some more. Oh, would you look at that? It's the most controversial beer of all time. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it's been over a year since Bud Light got canceled per se, and I still don't see it moving very much on the shelves. I gotta say, it's probably at least been over 10 years since I've had a Bud Light hit my lips. Here she blows, folks. Or here he blows. Or I don't know how you guys want to say. Interesting. Man, that's kind of weird, man. There ain't a lot there. I'm gonna set this down for a second and think about it, because I need to gather some firewood for tonight. Ugh. Another crazy thing about Bud Light is it used to be the #1 selling beer in America, and then whenever that cancellation happened, it went way down the gosh dang list, and surprisingly, the imported beer Modelo Especial replaced it. And I would have put Modelo in here, but Especial is not really a light beer per se. Modelo does have a light beer called Oro, but it's not very popular, and it's not one of the top sellers yet, so I decided not to put it in the list. All right, let me get another swig of this thing. What the heck, man? I really just don't get a lot out of this freaking thing. I think I lived at a freaking airport. Bud Light comes in at 110 calories and 4.2% ABV. Oh! Nothing more American than making your pregnant wife carry a frickin' fire pit over for you. Love you, babe. Now go cook me some cereal! And speaking of my wife, sometimes I gotta remind her, it's 2024, woman. No one likes a woman with a Busch Light, folks. Classic. Classic and the cheapest on this list. Smooth, it says on the can. Never heard of a Busch that's smooth. Now that one, I can actually taste some stuff coming out of it. The Bud Light, I had like no flavor. And the Bud Light, I was also reading the can, and it said that it had to do something with rice, like there was rice in it or something like that. I did get like almost like a little bit of a rice note, but that was about it. The Busch Light, which is quite a bit cheaper, I actually get something out of this one. I gotta hand it to them though. Busch took social media marketing to a whole nother level. I mean, they have an absolute cult following now. And you know, they kind of market to hunters and fishermen and to outdoorsmen and stuff, maybe because it's cheap and a bunch of those folks are broke because they're too much spending their money on guns, bows, and arrows, and camo, and golly, I could go on for days. But I see them all over the place. Every time I open Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they're all over. There's always a Busch in my face. When I was picking this up, I've seen Busch Light Peach, Busch Light Apple. I haven't tried any of those yet, but they're always coming out with new flavors too, so they're quite the brand. Now, 3 of these brands, we're talking about Bud Light, Busch Light, and what's coming up next, Michelob, are all Anheuser-Busch. They have tons of beers under them. You know, when Budweiser says they're the king of beers, I would say Anheuser-Busch is, because they pretty much own all of them. And their marketing got me a few years ago when they came out with those camo cans with the blaze orange. I dug that. Busch Light is coming in at 95 calories and 4.1% ABV. Not my favorite, but not bad. And now it's time for the healthiest beer on the list, and that just happens to be Michelob Ultra. Look, even the can is skinny, and you can be too if you drink Michelob. I sincerely thought it was pronounced Michelob until, well, pretty much doing research for this vid. Superior light beer, it says. This is probably maybe the second time I've ever had a Michelob. And as you can see, very classy can. It's blue on one side, white on the other. It's got a nice blue top to it with the logo patched out of it. This comes in at 95 calories, but the thing that makes this the healthiest beer on this list is it's 2.6 carbs, which is about half of all the other beers on the list and most other light beers. I don't know about y'all, but every time I open, it doesn't matter if it's a soda, a pop, whatever you guys call it, a beer, it doesn't matter. Anything in a can, I always turn the top there. I don't even realize I do it anymore. I just started doing it back when I was going to parties and stuff so that I wouldn't get cooties from anybody, you know what I mean? Golly. Some of these I'm just amazed that they actually sell so well. You know, it's gonna have less carbs, so you're gonna feel less full, even more than normal. You know, 2.6 carbs for the whole thing is pretty gosh dang good, 95 calories. It's more of a, you know, it markets to classy folks, people on a golf course, tennis players. Moving on. Let's take a little trip down to Mexico. And now we are on to the #1 beer company in America, which just happens to be a Mexican company, and that is Corona Light. Now, Corona is usually known for their #1 selling beer, which is Corona Extra, but because light beer was and is so popular in America, they decided to release Corona Light in 1989. Ooh, golly, man. I gotta give it to Corona, though. They smell really good. Shout out to Nacho, my favorite Mexican. Lo siento. Wow. There's a lot of bitterness to that one, which I always get a little bit of like liminess, you know, in Corona, which everybody, you know, nothing's better than a Corona bottle and popping a little lime wedge in there, squeezing a little bit, you know, it's refreshing, it's good. I prefer Pacifico a little bit more than Corona, but it's not bad. It just leaves like kind of a nasty aftertaste in the mouth for me. Golly, dude. All this light beer, they say it's less filling, but with how much I've been drinking, god dang, dude. I feel like jelly roll up in here, boo. 99 calories and 4% ABV, folks. Here we go. Let's rank them. Now, I gotta say, if I was stuck with only light beer for the rest of my life, I don't think I'd drink. Well, I think first, let's just start off with last place. You know, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and dude, I think I'm gonna have to put Bud Light in last. It's not too appetizing. I could see how it could just go down easy, but I want to taste my beer, and that just didn't have much at all. I would say, man, second to last is kind of hard. I think I'm gonna go with the Michelob Ultra. I don't like skinny bitches. Fourth place, I think Corona Light. Wasn't a big fan of this. A lot of bitterness on it. I'm not a big fan of the Corona Light. I drink a Corona Extra over that every single day. Where that Busch at? Third place for Busch Light. You get a lot more flavor than these two here for sure. You know, you get quite a bit of flavor out of the Corona, but you get a lot more flavor than these guys. But you can definitely tell it's a cheaper beer. The cheapest on this list, I think it did pretty good between these two big boys now, Coors Light, Miller Lite. I live in Colorado, folks, and to be honest, after sipping these twos back and forth, I think I'm gonna have to bring Coors to numero uno. Guys, Miller Lite was a close one. The only thing the Miller just didn't really give me is it just felt a little bit heavier, where I just could chug this Coors Light. You know, I'd say I might switch back and forth between these two. And, you know, maybe in the fall time I'll get me a little Miller Lite, but summertime, 4th of July, I'm going to have me one of these Coors silver bullets in my hand right before I blow it off with a mortar. Knock on wood. There's some real wood around here. There it is. Happy 4th of July, folks. Hey, we'll be out here drinking our light beers, watching our calories, all while eating hot dogs and cheeseburgers and overly processed chips. But you know what?